Okay, so today I am going to be analysing this Black Mesa source mod called Emergency 17, and it was made by HQDefault. Now, I played this before earlier and I thought it was really, really good, and there was a lot of good things and a lot of things that people should do in their mods that were in this mod, and there were a few things that were not as good and need improving, but I'm just going to go through this and talk a bit about, you know, all of these things. Immediately we see this guy who's obviously had a bit of an accident, and I did mention this in the last video I did, the beacon one. That one was made by Jamaican Dave, and you know, it's all about creating a living world with dead people, not just dead people, but this mod, you know, takes it to the next level, and I'll talk a bit about it. So this is Emergency 17. You cannot take on this guy. There's this guy down here. You cannot take them on. Obviously, you have no weapon. If you go down here, they shoot you basically. And that's something I've spoken about before, is that putting the player in that situation is really good because it creates the impression that it's a real situation, because often, you know, you wouldn't just get a gun straight away and start shooting. You've got to actually find these things, and this is what this mod is doing, is it's building up with a lot of visual stuff. So obviously, you know, this guy goes to town putting dead people in his mod, which I think is really cool. You know what I mean. It's not cool, but it's cool in terms of the mod. Here we've got two guys walking away, and it's something that a lot of people do is they'll put every enemy in their mod you can shoot, and it's often good to have these little set pieces where the player can look out, and it definitely gives the, you know, these surroundings more of a realistic feeling. Not to say that, you know, the gameplay mechanics should be realistic, absolutely not, and I've spoken about that before as well, but the environments should definitely feel like, or it should feel believable. So stuff like that needs to be in more mods, where you get people walking away, or you can get you know, Marines that you cannot kill. Again, the morbid deaths never stop. Again, everything's visual. So now we're coming to our first enemy, or at least the first one that we can encounter. One of the problems presented in this mod is the pacing. I feel that the pacing is not done as good as it could be. Basically, it's often very slow, and you never really reach a situation where it's really high action until the very end. But obviously, I'll get to that when we get there. But as we continue on, there's just more zombies. And I mean, the detail that goes into this is amazing. I mean, I know a lot of people will say, well, actually the detail is nothing compared to this new game that was released. Yes, but it's not really about making the maps look super realistic and high definition or whatever. It's about making them feel believable and turning them into a real place with what you've got. And obviously, because this is a Black Mesa mod, yes, the textures are actually going to be pretty good, because, you know, that's what it's like in Black Mesa. I feel that there's a lot of cool textures and stuff to use. So yeah, as I said, it's not about, you know, making it look like the Unreal Engine 4. It's about making it look like Black Mesa. So okay, so now we've come to some proper combat. Well, much more harder combat. These Vortigaunts can be a nightmare at some points. So yeah, around here, if you look through this window, it's very obvious what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and this could be used for like a really say. Okay, I'll go around and show you what I mean. So obviously, just dodge past these. They're just put there instead of not having them and the player just running. The player's actually got to think. When they get here, they think, all right, so do I kill them? Do I run past? I usually run past because I feel it's just a waste and I'm never going to have to deal with them again. But it gives the player something to think about, and I've said this so many times now in my videos. I'm sure you're all sick of hearing it, but yeah. So obviously that wasn't difficult to get around here, but if there was a challenge, you'd still it'd be a bit more effective looking through here, seeing what you had to achieve, and showing you that there was something, a light at the end of the tunnel, as it would be, that you weren't just, or rather you knew what your goal was before you got there. Because that's often a problem in mods, is you have no idea what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve in this single scenario. Obviously there we knew we were going to go for a button and it wasn't that long, so it's fine. Right, now we've got a bit of combat, which is easy. I mean, I think last time I was actually playing on hard and they all ran in here, so it wasn't as good, but I guess because I knew where they were. But yeah, I mean, they're all spaced out quite a bit, and yeah, you've got plenty of places to back down on. Is there anything around here? No, there's not. So yeah, and there weren't too many of them, so I feel by this point it's moving very slowly, this mod, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not really doing well at driving you on and making you excited about the actual gameplay. It's all the excitement for me is basically coming from the map and how well it's done and how it feels like a real place and all that. Okay, that guy's gonna glitch out. So the combat isn't very intrusive, which is a compliment, because a lot of mods throw players at you and throw enemies at you, sorry, and the player, you'll be here and the enemies will be there and you'll have to fight off like 5 or 6 of them. Here they're all spaced out and you can kind of, because obviously we walked in, we saw these guys, we could take them down, but then we had to look about for the second lot instead of just like 5 or 6 of them being around this area. So it's good that it's not intrusive. So we go in here and there's stuff to find that's slightly out of the way. It's not like too far out of the way that we've got to run for ages, but it's just slightly off the beaten track, so we can find these cool things. Now, pushing that button actually confused me a lot, because I was like looking around. I actually went back down here because I didn't realise it was the same place before. So what this does is it opens this door over here, but I feel that could have been done better. At least it could have made a sound. I actually didn't realise, yeah, it makes a slight sound, and I'm sure you could probably hear it. Maybe my volume's not up, but basically I feel it could do more to make it known what has been done. Okay, so we'll move on to the next section. Alright, so we're on map 2 now. Yes. This section, actually I never actually checked back here to see if there's anything cool. Oh yeah, there's this Easter egg there. That was quite funny. But here we've got on a choice to take on the enemies head on there, or we can go around, more dead people. We can go around down here and then out kind of a side passage. Now, I feel that these guys would be more beneficial walking around, if you know what I mean. Like, often in Black Mesa, you see the enemies and they're walking about, they're pacing up and down basically, and that doesn't, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but again, it makes it feel like they're not just standing there waiting for someone to attack. And also, I guess for, you know, playing it through, if you back down, then they'll be in a different position as well when you go and look. Now, this guy seems to have some next-gen strats. He'd make a very good CSGO player. Actually, probably wouldn't, but we managed to get him, so... Yes, this bit is simple. You pull that, and that door opens. Now, I actually thought that it was this thing up here. Actually, yeah, you can't break that. We'll just trigger that. I thought it opened that. I wasn't entirely sure what it did. Now, yeah, the shotgun isn't like the one in Half-Life 2, as people have pointed out to me before. Obviously, I forget. I'm a forgetful person, especially with the flashlight. So I'm turning that on in dark situations anyway. So yeah, we could have gone round and taken these guys on there, but we've chosen to come up here. So again, there's choice here. It's not like it's forced you to only go around this way and take them on while they're there and you're here. Okay, so I feel that this we could do with having like a red light, one of these spinning red lights, to just to signify that this is the way to go. And this is another situation where I feel like this guy could be pacing up and down, just like over here. Okay, I guess there's like a secret area. I didn't actually come in here when I played it before. Yeah. Again, just a little side area off the beaten track. I don't think I came in here either. But here there's more stuff to find. There's also one of these guys. One of these ugly looking guys. Which kind of is a... You know, it shows you what is to come. It shows you that they are about. It's not... Or at least they shouldn't be put in. Like, you shouldn't put this in if there were going to be none of these guys coming up. But there is. So... Just kind of a bit of storytelling at its lowest form. But the lowest form of storytelling I tend to find is the best. Now, I wasn't a big fan of this fight because it's really difficult to see these guys through both the, you know, the grates and the fences. So I feel if it wasn't as you know, with all of these grates out, it'd be much better and more user-friendly. I mean that by, you know, what I mean by that is that it just means that the player has, you know, more vision to play and fight and use their initiative rather than just, you know, getting caught up in the fact that they can't see through that very well. But it's a minor detail. It's a minor detail. Over here, red light drawing the player's attention, and another vent. So yeah, there are combat scenarios, but overall the general feel of the map is it's moving very slowly. So I feel it could have benefited with more big set pieces. What I mean by that is just like not a massive battle, but something that will keep the player in the same area for much longer than we currently are staying in. I mean, this bit makes good use of space, so it's a simple puzzle. Pull that, and this thing rises, and then we're going into here. feel that guy would have been better placed over here. Because, I mean, yeah, if you place like a marine there or someone who can shoot there, then it becomes very awkward. But if you place a zombie, you're going to run right through, and then you're going to hear the sound of him getting up, which will be a good signal to the player that there is a guy there. Maybe over here would have been better, just not right directly in front of the line of sight. So yeah, we've got enough health. We now... yeah, it's this way. Yeah, we now come back round into this room here that we were in. So it's making good use of space. Okay, I think I've probably broken it. Oh no, there we go. Okay. So now this door opens. Now, this is quite a good set piece actually, because you see there's two types of enemies fighting. So the player has a choice. The player can sit down and just wait, or, well, figuratively speaking, and watch what's going to happen, what the outcome is, and then take on the guys who are left. Or the player can target one type of enemy. So you noticed I went for these guys. I would have gone for these guys. They're slightly more of a pain than these guys. At least I think they're slightly more, you know, more difficult to fight. And again, it's instead of you just coming into a room and seeing Marines just standing there, there's actually stuff going on. And again, add stuff like that to your mods and maps, because it will greatly benefit it, rather than just having the player run into a room and then, you know, and then having to fight. So that was pretty cool. I really liked that section. And also, this is a pretty simple puzzle. Obviously, we've seen it before in many mods and in the game. There's like an electrified fence and one of these exploding barrels, which everyone knows what they do. You shoot them and it helps you progress. So it's simple, but it's still giving the player interaction with the mods, the maps. Okay, so in this next section, we get given, and it's right in front of us, so we can see it clearly. We get given this the cannon. Obviously, there's ammo. There's also, I don't know if this is an Easter egg, but you can push that button and this thing opens and it gives you more ammo. So it's not just a shooting range, it's also, you know, it also rewards you for doing that. Okay, I think that's everything from this section now. You can see up there this this thing here. I don't know if you could actually... yeah, that's a slight glitch, I think. We'll see if we can get that back up there so I can actually play the mod properly. Or maybe I'll quickly run through that section. Yeah, I might just run through that section quickly. I mean, I don't think there was anything super important. Right, but we've got combat coming up with these vertigons. Obviously now we've got the cannon now. I feel 3 of these guys is far too much. Especially in one corridor alone. I feel they should be definitely spaced out more. And then there's also a big guy somewhere. Or at least there was the last time I played. Or maybe it was these guys. Maybe that was a different zone. But we'll go in and get the goodies here. Okay, it doesn't appear you can break that. Slightly annoying. But then it doesn't matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things. So, oh, there's another one of these guys. Which we're going to hit. Don't think any of these boxes break. So yeah, now we've come to these fire doors that we need to destroy. There's a sign, and you can see that there's one of these things, and if you know the game, you'll know what to do. And yeah, it's also good that there's multiple ways to go here. I mean, it's not like an open world game where you've got all that choice and you can go wherever you want. But even little things like this, like the corridors are right next to each other, but it still gives you the choice. And this was done in Black Mesa, in like the elevator section at the beginning of, I forget the name of the chapter, but you can like go down in the elevator, or you can climb through a vent and go down that way, and it's choice like that. Now I did see, yeah, a head crab moving down here, so you know that, or at least it gives you kind of the premonition that something's going on down here. So this is where we broke the map, basically. Or didn't break it, rather just cheated it. So I'm going to quickly run through this section, although it's just really crawling. There's a few head crabs there. Yeah, we probably shouldn't use this gun for that much, but we'll just reload this quickly before I push on. And yeah, this is very slow moving. I don't believe that should have taken that long to get up here. Obviously, once you're up here, you get that thing which I got down. I'm not sure if that's deliberate thing, but if it was deliberate, I don't think that should have been the case. Like, if it was a bug, it probably needs to be hidden out of sight. But it's good that the player can come around, see that it's not there, and then go and get it. But if it was like just throw a grenade up there and get it, then it's not as good, basically. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And you can look around here. This is where we came from. So now we're going to push up. Let's try that guy. That's what's good, is that it gives you like grenades. Another way of killing these guys, disposing of them. This guy's owning me. There we go. Okay, so now we get to an outside section, which, again, it feels like there should be something more intense in this section, but there's not. It's basically a pretty simple puzzle, so we're going to try and jump into the water and fail epically. And there was one of these guys. But then there's this thing here now. If you hadn't seen this thing, which first time I didn't spot it, I turned this lever. No idea what it did. It didn't really make it clear what you were doing. So I was like looking about like, where do I go, and then eventually I ran up this ladder, not knowing that this thing was here. So something could have been done more to show that you'd actually done something, basically. But it's just a minor thing that, you know, drawing more attention to this. I mean, there's a lot to see here, and if you're looking about here, you're expecting to see something big. So I don't know. A lot of, you know, there could have been something big happening in this section, but it wasn't used to, I think, its full potential. At least that's how I feel now. Can these things break? No, they're just boxes stacked. Now, we come to the final map, I think. And I feel, in this is a combat scenario, and I think this is not the best combat scenario. Because, okay, for starters, it's opened up and they're right there. And there's about a dozen, maybe more, of these guys in there. Now, because I'm playing not on hard, it's going to be fairly easy for me at the moment. But at the first time I played it, I just had to bolt it across to the other side, basically. So what happens is, yeah, my aim's off, yeah. But these Vortigaunts and aliens spawn. Now it just gets messy. Now it's really not very strategy focused. It's more just a run and gun. So what I did was I just ran out because, you know, staying alive in there is difficult and not very fun. So what I would have done in this situation, I would have made this definitely a more focused fight. I would have made it so that the player took on about 2 of the Marines at a time, and then, yeah, having the Vortigaunts come in was a good idea, but the space just wasn't big enough for a fight of that scale. So obviously, even though it seems big, but when you're actually in there, there's these guys, there's Marines. So again, it's really difficult to... I'm sure it's difficult to balance, but it's... In my opinion, I think it should have been a more focused fight rather than a big mess, basically. But that was really the only combat scenario I didn't like in this mod. I feel all the other combat scenarios were safe and non-intrusive. Right, so now that's it basically. We push the button on the train and off we go. So yeah, I feel the pacing to this mod was not as good as it could have been done. It could have had more keyframes, I'll call them, like these points when you kind of fight in like these bigger battles instead of just going into a room, taking out the people and, you know, going out the other way. So yeah, in like Half-Life, when you're like fighting the dropships at the lighthouse or something, you've got to stay in that area for a bit longer, and they're like spawning from different areas and they're coming. Something like that would have been good, or maybe if they used that in this mod, they'd done it with like Vortigaunts coming out of a door or something. And it's really difficult to do something like that, so I don't think that that's a really bad thing that it wasn't attempted, but I still think it could have done with something like that. So that was Emergency 17 by, I think it's HQDefault or something like that. Sorry if I've got that name wrong. I saw it on the screen moments ago and forgotten. So yeah, as I said, the pacing wasn't as good as it could be, but the map looked great, it looked authentic, it felt 100% like a living world. It did a great job of that. And really the only combat situation was that annoyed me was at the end there with all of the Marines, and then the Vortigaunts came in and the other guys. And if that'd been tidied up, then it could have been a really, really good ending, basically. I don't know if it was rushed to get finished or whatever, I'm not sure. But overall, I really, really like that. I've obviously given my reasons in the video. Obviously, some people will disagree with me on certain things, so feel free to flame at me in the comments for anything I've done or said wrong, which, you know, it happens. I'm always tired when recording these for some reason. But, yeah, so, thank you.